All right, all right. This is In Liberty and Health, the first episode of my new podcast here. We're going to talk about all things liberty, health, and beyond. I got my brother Tim here from the Grind Athletics. He is a entrepreneur from North Carolina with some badass clothing, actually. My fiance and I wear his stuff quite frequently, so we were shooting the shit a little bit before I started the recording, and yeah, go ahead. Let her rip. Tell us about how you kind of came to be where you are.
Yeah, so I was running gyms my whole life, and I was looking for a little bit of a side hustle, a way to bring in additional revenue. Everyone I knew was day trading, doing stocks, bonds, all that stuff, or this Bitcoin crap I knew nothing about, real estate investments. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start an apparel brand. So I was floating in my pool, and the name The Grind Athletics popped in my head for, everyone's using the word grind, and I was running teams and using the word grind all the time. I remember hopping off the raft, running in the house, sketching out a logo, and that's how we were born back in December 2015.
So back in 2015 was around where you started. You said this is you heard of a lot of people doing like day trading and stuff like that.
hmm
Mm,
Yeah, people were doing, you read all these things about how to diversify your income, how to become successful, and
right.
you realize when you're depending on one income source, like I was vice president of 10 gyms, and it was a great thing,
Mhm.
but I was making someone else millions of dollars, and
Right.
all things come to an end. People grow their businesses to sell them. And I started thinking, like, how can I get more income opportunities? How can I diversify? How can I start a side hustle that maybe will become an exit strategy years from now? Because I didn't want to work for someone else the rest of my life, no matter how good of a leader he or she was.
Right. That's awesome. And I totally get that. My father has been a entrepreneur for about the last 20 years, and I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My grandfather owned a shop, his father owned a shop, and like I said, my dad's owned a shop now for about 20 years. And I'm kind of 50-50 if I want to go down that same line, but I'm kind of a little bit of torn because with the way the economy is now, it does seem like sometimes the cards are stacked against business people, so especially after this last year. So kind of getting to that, after this last year, how was business for you, during the whole pandemic?
I'm gonna stop the other room. The family just got home.
Oh, you're
Um,
good, man, you're good.
you know, Honestly, man, it was funny when COVID hit. My business had just taken off, and I was getting ready to finally buy a new car. I was driving around a beat up car with no air conditioning.
Hmm.
It was killing me. And literally the weekend before down, I had a deal worked out at a dealership, and I called him. I'm like, hey man, cancel the car. Shit's about to go in the toilet. And I literally was like, it is what, like, we're sudden it just started going up and up and up and up. We
Hmm.
started selling more and more. And I realized that, you remember in the beginning, Walmart, they roped off like all their clothing, like you couldn't get, season was changing. Sure. Am I breaking up?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, shit, I'm breaking up. Hang on. I gotta go in the other room, so I'm gonna have to tell my family to. Sorry, man. Hey
Yeah,
guys,
no,
I'm
you're
on a
good.
Zoom call, so you gotta be quiet, okay? Yeah, so I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, this is it, we're done. And all of a sudden,
Mhm.
people couldn't get shorts, they couldn't get tank tops. And I've
Yeah.
got people messaging me, like, dude, I'm trying to go to Walmart and get a pair of shorts, and it's roped off as like non essential apparel. So all of a sudden, people need shorts, I need tank tops, and
Hmm.
sales just started to go insane. Captains, um, people were depressed and they needed that hit. And shopping, I mean, you can look at Amazon statistics during the pandemic.
Hmm.
Amazon just went like this, and blessed, so did we.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. And yeah, if you look at like the stock for Amazon, it, as with just about everything, crashed and then went right back up. But a lot of people spend a lot of time indoors, so kind of does feel good to get to go out and spend a couple bucks or get some nice clothes. And well, I know my fiance and I both engaged in that. I was kind of breezing through your Facebook here, and some of the posts you make really just freaking hit home. Um, you either create your life creates you. We've all been there. We've all had to work jobs, put in hours on things we weren't excited or passionate about because bills are due and we needed to survive. I won't read the whole thing, but some of the stuff you say and some of the stuff that it seems like your brand represents is just that grit. And the one post, let me make sure I got this right, just so I don't butcher it. And everybody should go check you guys out because it's not like I know with some clothing brands, what they do is they outsource where they stock everything. So basically, like another warehouse stores it and then they put their designs on it. And you're dependent on their stock. You guys don't do that. You guys craft your own stuff and send it out to your customers, and it all fits very well. My fiance wears your shirts all the time, and I wear you guys' stuff when I'm working out. It's awesome. Okay, yeah, easy never pays well. Fuck the I deserve it mentality. Go out and earn it. Feast on your own kill. It just tastes better. And it's a kind of a little post for your t-shirt. I can hear David Goggins screaming at me reading that.
Man, you got one opportunity to live the life you want to live. And I see so many people complaining and they always talk about all the struggles, all the reasons they
Hmm.
can't do things. I focus on my cans, not my can'ts. What can
Hmm.
you do? What can you do? So I'm 45 years old. I kind of got that old man wisdom. I've paid my dues. I've made mistakes. I've made other
Hmm.
people rich. And I just realized that it's go time, man. Everyone waits for the planets to align. When this gets done, when that gets done, I'm going to pull the trigger. Like there is no right time to pull the trigger. You mentioned
Hmm.
that earlier. You were talking about when it's the right time to start a side hustle, man. Like I don't believe in dipping your toe in the water. Like a lot of people
Hmm.
have this mentality. I'm going to try something, and if it works, then I'm going to put some more emphasis into it. And you got someone like me. I'm going to work 100 hours a week to fucking beat you. So you want to dip your
Hmm.
toe in the water? Cool, man. I jumped in into 20-foot deep water. I'll figure out how to swim on the way out. So that mentality, you're
Hmm.
not going to win, man. It's like, so let me get this straight. You're going to do half-ass work, and if people all of a sudden support you and things go crazy, you're going to put more effort into it. And then you got me, who's working like you'd have to kill me to stop me. Who do you think's going to win in that capacity? So I don't do contingency plans. I believe in
Hmm.
burn your ships. When the Vikings invaded foreign lands, if they would have burned the ships and said, "Look, capture, kill, and seek and destroy. And if you don't prepare to be enslaved, how hard would they have fought?" So
Exactly.
that's how I describe in life, man. And so it is scary to go out on your own, but you think of like this: most people work 40 to 50 hours a week. When I was running the gyms, I was working 90 hours a week. And then I used to hop in my car at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and I go do bodybuilding shows from Friday night until Sunday afternoon. I get home and I go back to work. So, I was working 3 hours a week while I was working 80 with grind while I was working 80 to 90 hours a week. So side hustles are easy, man. You got to give up your TV, got to give up your time scrolling on Instagram and social media. I never had a social media page prior to growing my business because people at the gym would be like, "Yo, what's your Facebook?" Like, Facebook, who does that shit? Call me. And
Yeah.
you got to start looking how much you waste time doing things. There's your side hustle time.
Absolutely. And you know what? I get up at 4:30 every morning because I realize I have to prioritize my time to get up early, to walk my dogs, to cook the food I want to eat. And then Sunday I usually spend about an hour or two preparing all my food pretty much for the entire week. But it's exactly like you said, you have to prioritize. That doesn't mean you get to sit down and scroll through Facebook and try to hit everybody up, or sometimes you have to forego the pleasures in the moment to get what needs to get done. Kind of when you were going on a little bit earlier, it's essentially leap, grow wings on the way down. That's exactly what it is. And I heard that quote and it's always stuck with me because I agree, like you said, burn the ships. Because if you want to make sure you succeed, no contingency plan. There is no plan B. You don't dip your toe in the water. You go full in and you give it your all, because if you don't, then you're leaving something on the table there. And it's the same deal with lifting. You were a bodybuilder at one point, so I'm sure it's not like you can just we'll have ice cream today and then I'll go off the diet here, go off the diet there. I mean, it is hard freaking work getting down to low percentage body fat and getting to that physique. So all about the hard work, and like I said, leap, growings on the way down.
Yeah, you don't need a contingency plan. Like certain people, I always say, be hard to kill. Be hard to kill. I
Hmm.
put egg in the basket of grind. I walked away from probably 150 to $180,000 a year income, company car, Cadillac Escalade, health
Mhm,
insurance for the family, gas repairs, everything all paid for. My first year in grind, I probably made $25,000 profit. That was my
mhm,
first year doing that full time. I was prepared to eat shit for a while because here's the deal: I'm going to go all in on that endeavor, and if it doesn't work out, I will feed my family somehow. I didn't have to have a contingency plan. You can't kill me. I'll find a way. A man has no business being home if his family's not fed. I'll go fight in alleys if I have to for a
mhm,
paycheck. I'll go hustle. I'll go hustle and detail cars. I'll go pressure wash. There's
mhm.
always somebody paying. There's not a shortage of jobs, especially now. There's a shortage of people who can accomplish the fucking tasks that you need them to do, and good people will always survive.
Exactly. And you could definitely see by your story and by the way that you talk, you are a big family guy. And I think that is something missing, especially in our culture today. You hear a lot of people kind of bashing fathers and men in general, but I think what America lacks is actually that strong father presence and the strong masculinity. You hear about toxic masculinity for whatever that means, but it is the strong father that brings together the family and supplies for the family. And obviously, strong mothers are necessary too. But, we focus so hard on these binary extremes of men are bad and men need to do better, men need to do this. No, we need better, intact families. And for that, men need to be strong. And, like I said, you've been a great example of that. And it's great to see, someone that owns a small family owned business that cares about his family and is passionate about what he does.
I agree, man. Strong men build strong families.
Hmm.
Men and women, all kids need a strong male role model.
Absolutely.
Uh, about hard work, respect, how to look a man in the eye, shake his hand, stay true to your word. I
Hmm.
hear my kids. So my wife is the nurturer. They're the one. They go to her for the love, the affection, the cuddling, but the way they talk back to her still and question things. And when I'm in
Hmm.
the room, they're like, yes, sir. Now, I'm not abusive to them, but
Yeah.
I carry myself with a certain expectation and they understand they get out of line, they're going to get bit. So that's what a man does. They teach the kids about hard work and respect. And it takes two. It takes two. And there's a lot of great moms out there filling both seats in the what kids need. So God
Hmm.
bless them. They're amazing. But yeah, man, we need more of that toxic masculinity, a double dose.
Yeah. No, honestly. Yeah, but basically what you're saying is that you kind of command that respect out of your children because they understand that you have an expectation for them to live up to. And mothers, not that they shouldn't command that respect, but there's a different dynamic at play. Um, So yeah, that's all good stuff. So you caught COVID actually a couple months ago, and it looked like it kind of kicked your butt a little bit. Kind of wanted to
Did
ask, how was your experience with that, and how'd you recover? How are you feeling now?
so I gambled. Obviously I'm pro freedom.
Yeah.
Vaccine or no vaccine, that's your choice. I think we should all be free to choose. I chose no vaccine. I still stand behind that. So the first gamble I made was hopefully I'll never catch COVID, and if I do, it'll be mild. So my wife brought it home from the gym, and I just decided not to isolate. I figured it was my time in the sandbox, and she was better in 48 hours. I caught it, and I
Hmm.
was in bed for 9 days straight, 104 raging fever.
Hmm.
I remember coughing so hard I'd involuntarily convulse and vomit. My eyesight, I partially detached the retinas in my eyes from coughing
Hmm.
so violently. Just hurt head to toe. My breathing was fine, but when I came out the other side, 17 pounds lighter and just exhausted, got my lungs checked for pneumonia, and the doctor informed me that I had some COVID scarring in my lungs. So nothing major. I know a lot of people had it much worse, but it did invade my body and scarred my lungs to the point where my oxygen output was a little bit diminished. I immediately, again, never a victim, always a victor.
Hmm.
I got on IV treatments right away. I went to a hormone replacement therapy doctor that did IVs, and I was doing detox with glutathione and adding, B vitamin, C vitamin, D vitamins, getting IVs twice a week for wellness. I went, I have a background in exercise science and kinesiology and all that from my college days. So went on a hardcore supplement regimen. I did do ivermectin. Everyone's talking about how great it is. I didn't die, so maybe it did help me, but it wasn't the
Hmm.
cure that everyone thinks it is. I took
Okay.
a 7 day dose of ivermectin, and maybe I would have not. Maybe I would have died if I didn't take it. Ivermectin was not the holy grail that people
Hmm.
crack it up to be, at least in my experience. So 3 weeks of hell after, really weird stuff, man. Here's the deal about COVID. It feels different than any illness you've ever had. It feels like a chemical agent has taken over your body. Like the symptoms come in like these weird spurts. Like first you have this, and then you have that, and then this. It's almost like you could chart all these systematical weird things. And the hardest part at the end was when I got better. Like my body temperature went down to like 96 degrees, but I was burning up all the time. I was walking around the house like literally in boxers. I go
Hmm.
outside in the summer, profuse sweating. I was taking 4 to 5 cold showers a day. I'd sit there on the couch and my feet felt like they were on fire. It's an absolute chemical agent, man made, that takes over your body and just does biological warfare on your body. It's designed to shut down. And
Hmm.
here, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but
Oh
did you
no,
notice
dude, you're good. You're good.
the first wave of COVID, it hurt the old people. So it's like
Hmm.
this second wave, this new variant, it took out me, you. And ironically, everyone I talked to, it's really hurting 30, 40-year-old men. So it's like they disabled the men, like 30, 40, we become that angry, violent. You don't fuck with a 40-year-old man. We become angry and violent. Like you can talk shit, but you fuck with our family, we'll kill you. All kind of
Hmm.
mentality. That's where we're at. We're very confident, very secure, very angry, and very ready to protect our family, whatever violence is necessary. It's almost they took us out of the equation and just
Hmm.
crippled us, man.
Yeah, so my fiance and I both got COVID, and for me, thank God it was very mild. I had it back in late March. I kind of felt like crap for a couple days, and it was pretty funny because our Doberman Australian Shepherd was sleeping in the bed with us, and he kept sneezing. We're like, "Oh, dude's got the Rona, dude's got the Rona, whatever." So I woke up the next morning, and I went to go take a sip of my coffee, and I'm like, well, "Something don't seem right, but whatever." So I take a shower, and then I cook my breakfast, steak, eggs, and bacon, and I took a bite of bacon, and it's Butcher Box's pork belly bacon. It's like peppered, and it has a very distinct taste to it. It's delicious. I couldn't taste it. And the prior 3 days, I felt a little groggy, but I'm like, whatever. So then, yeah, when I couldn't taste it, I'm like, holy shit, I think I might got COVID. So, like I said, for me, it wasn't too bad. My fiance, she lost her smell for about a month, and her smell's still a little effed up. Me, I lost my smell and taste for about a week, but I was using glutathione nasal spray, taking alpha lipoic acid, and zinc as well. So the one thing I've noticed, and I'm definitely with you on a lot of how the origins of COVID and kind of the overall deal of how it's playing out. It hits people so individually. Obviously, as a libertarian, I'm very, very pro freedom as well, but I'm also pro vaccination if you think you need to get it. My mom got it. She had cancer 3 times. She didn't want to get it, but she was going to the hospital for back surgery, and she said, um, she figured she should get vaccinated. And, in her situation, I don't blame her. She doesn't have the same time horizon that a lot of other people may have to kind of make those considerations. So perhaps it was best for her to get vaccinated. I mean, maybe maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe we'll all be wrong, and these vaccines will kill everybody. But we just don't know. I don't think they will, but I just think we kind of got what we got. It was a mildly effective vaccine because it was rushed out. There wasn't a lot of time to test, and it's just not going to be the panacea that we're all hoping for. But yeah, it's good to see it recovered. No long haul symptoms.
No, no, everything. It took about 3 weeks to get back
Mhm.
to norm. I considered it a muscle wasting disease. It wasn't where you just had a stomach bug for 5 days, lost a few pounds. Like I lost 17 pounds. It took
Yeah, I
about
saw
5 weeks
that.
to get back. So nothing long, and thank God, like my lungs are mostly recovered. They said about
Mhm.
6 months I'll be 100%. It's very very mild. My oxygen output was low, but I get it's so irritating just to hear the anti-vaccine and the pro-vaccine. Like at the
Mhm.
end of the day, man, like I want to pay less taxes. I want less government control. So I guess that leads me more toward conservative. I'm not a
Mhm.
hardcore Republican, um, but I lean more on that Republican without all the nonsense. But I think at the end of the day, you should make your own decision. I remember my wife was never critical of anyone. She was like, a week after I had COVID, she's like, look at this guy wearing a mask in the car by himself. And I'm like, you know what? Cool. Let him be.
Mhm.
And if you know my wife, she literally, everyone loves her, never a negative thing
Mhm.
to say ever. And I was like, you know what? They could have cancer. They could have liver failure. If that gives them
Yeah.
peace of mind to drive in the car with the mask on, fucking rock on. But I'm gonna be that same guy that walks in every business and will never have a mask on. If you ask me
Mhm.
to, if you tell me to put on a mask, I'm gonna say nope, and I'm no longer supporting your business, and I'm gonna go. Now I did wear it in the doctor's office. I don't wear it at my children's school,
Mhm.
and I don't wear it anywhere else. And if they choose to tell me to put a mask on, I just say cool. I'll take my business elsewhere. I don't argue. I don't scream,
Mhm.
but they know I'm gonna get my money. And I think we've lost sight. We've become so divided as a nation. Like, could you imagine if we were all alike? We all like vanilla ice cream instead of chocolate. We all dressed alike. Look, I couldn't think of a more boring world if we all
Mhm.
thought alike. We need to get better as a nation to respect other people's opinions. To say, hey, man, you know what? I strongly disagree with you, but I can see why you feel that way. So fucking rock on, man. Giddy up and live your life. It's like that's why I don't participate too much in these debates online because I'm not going to change your perspective. You're not going to change mine. So I'm focusing on what matters. I'm working on my family. I'm making them
Mhm.
strong. We're moving out to a 30-acre compound to take more things internally to get away from people, become more strong and resilient on our own. I'm not using my social media platform endlessly to talk about COVID, but what I'm doing behind the scenes is emailing my children's school, meeting with the people at school to make
Mhm.
changes there. I'm doing things on the ground level, but I'm not wasting my time posting memes on Instagram about COVID jokes because it's just at the end of the day, what's that going to change, man?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's huge, especially the part of going to your school board, because that's decentralization essentially. You're going right to the source. That's something you can change. You know, everyone gets mad at Joe Biden, everybody gets mad at Donald Trump, and I hate both of them. But, you can affect locally. If you go to your school board and you make enough noise, or, you're well educated enough and you're respectful and you let your opinion be known of how you want your children to be treated, then you can make that change. And if enough people come together and agree, then, they'll know this is what it is. And I'm sure you're of the same opinion, but don't put masks on our kids, dude. I personally think that's
Yeah.
child abuse to require children to wear masks. They're not at risk. If they get it, they may get a slight cough. But if you look at a lot of the data, not many children died. And, it is tragic that any did at all, but this is not killing our children. Um, so
My
I just
son had
don't.
a mild case,
Mm,
36 hours. He had a 99.8 fever, a
mhm.
slight headache, uh, no appetite. He was just tired. And literally, like 36 hours later, he's like, okay, going to play. I'm like, all right, dude, stay in the yard. Don't talk to anybody because you're quarantined. So that's what I do have a problem with. A lot of people that told me they had COVID, they're like, yeah, man, I didn't really feel bad. So I went to the gym. I'm like, hey, cool, man. Sounds like you're selfish as fuck. Because at
Mm,
least if you know you have it, buckle down. I understand that your life's inhibited. You can't go get your fancy coffee at Starbucks. You can't get your pump on at the gym, but you're just spreading that shit. And
mhm.
with someone like me that had it horribly, I mean, could you imagine how I feel if I was infecting people with what I had? So we stayed home for 14 days.
Mhm.
That was doing our part to slow the spread because we were obviously highly contagious.
Right. I was kind of thinking about this yesterday, but only the government could make a vaccine so controversial. You would think that it would be like every other vaccine, hey, if you want to get it, go ahead. I personally, I ain't gonna get it. I have natural immunity. You got natural immunity, and you and I both had it. So, and there's a lot of science to support that natural immunity is just as effective, if not more effective, than the vaccines. So, why can't we be respected at that decision? And hey, good to go. That's your decision. You have the liberty to do that. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to start the show is to spread the message of health and liberty. And yeah, I think it's very, very important that we're able to have that decision, but it seems like some people disagree, and I think that's very unfortunate.
Once you've had COVID, everyone's like, hey, you really got sick. You're going to get the vaccine. And I'm like, no, man, I've got natural antibodies. So my
Hmm.
strategy is every 90 days, get my antibodies tested. It's like $10 to get your antibody
Yep.
level tested. And then you can say, hey, man, like, so the last check I remember, I was like 18 times higher than what the vaccine
Mhm.
would give you, and it's natural. So why would I
Mm.
put a potential harmful substance in my body when I'm already like I'm running like a Ferrari right now? So why would I
Mhm.
go put a Honda in my body of some synthetic low quality stuff? So that was my answer. Everyone's like, do you regret not getting the vaccine? No. And now I've got
Mhm.
natural immunity. How long that lasts is really up for debate. But I don't have
Mhm.
to get in those arguments. I just you can get your levels checked of your antibodies, and
Mhm.
as they diminish, you decide, do I want to risk lung damage again, or do I want to get the vaccine, which I don't. And hopefully, by the time I do get low, COVID has been wiped out a little bit, and it's no longer running rampant through the country.
Yeah, I did see some people who had COVID and then got Delta again. And it seemed like some people it actually hit pretty rough, but also some people who got their first and second shots of the vaccine, especially the second shot, if they already had COVID, it looked like they had a hell of a time getting through it. But, once again, that's their decision. And if they want to do that, by all means, go ahead. Just, once again, don't tell me I have to. Don't tell anybody else they have to. There's a good line: don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. That's kind of what our moms all told us when we were kids.
Freedom of choice, man. At the end of the day, freedom of choice, man. I respect all.
Mm,
you're gay, great. You're into this, great. These are your beliefs, great. You're pro
mm.
Trump, great. You love Biden, I might ask why. But at the end of the day, man, like
Yeah.
be you, but don't tell me
Mhm.
who to be. And
Exactly.
again, less government control, less taxes. It would be a much
Mhm.
better world if the government stopped helping everyone. Like when I grew up as a kid, if your dad lost his job, you didn't cut the grass because you couldn't afford to maintain the lawnmower and
Mhm.
put gas in it. You didn't go out to pizza on a Friday night and you figured out how to make ends meet and you went without. Now it's like everyone can walk out of the job and still live the good life because the government's
Mhm.
helping. I really wish. I think the government is great on helping people. I think helping our homeless, helping our veteran community, helping like those who are disabled, whether they're
Mhm.
mentally or physically disabled. I think that's what the government programs should do. If you're born with no hands or you're born with a crippled body, and you can't do all the tasks that other people can because you don't have an able body and an able mind, there should be help. But the problem is we've created a situation now where the government is helping everyone and all it's doing is hurting. We got this great thing as North Carolina employers. We got this great thing talking about, why it's so hard to find people right now. They talked about having low immigration and not a lot of people who are willing to work. They never once talked about all the stimulus money and all the programs are created. They were basically saying low immigration. I mean, low immigration, there's people flooding in this country. Give them damn papers, let them work.
Mhm.
The problem is there's a lot of hidden things from the government. Like, for example, have you been following the Southwest airline thing?
Yeah, I did a
Um,
video on that actually yesterday.
18, yeah, 1,800 canceled flights. 80% of the
Mhm.
pilots are former military. They're like, yo, we're out. We're not flying. But here's the
Mhm.
biggest hypocrisy. The news is reporting it as 1,800 flights grounded due to bad weather. And
Yeah.
people posting about it on social media are getting message that they violated community guidelines and they're banned from posting. They're literally being censored on
Mhm.
social media. Literally, so our news, our media is reporting bullshit, but
Yeah.
people who are reposting content from actual pilots who are saying we served and we value freedom, even if it means not feeding our family, we value freedom over tyranny more, and that's being blocked by the Facebook machine. Insane
Right.
times we live in.
Yeah, no, it's really really interesting. And the weather story would be believable if a lot of
Where's
other
the
flights
bad
were
weather?
canceling. Yeah. Yeah, well, where's the bad weather and why aren't all these other planes canceling? It couldn't have anything to do about the vaccine mandate that went into effect, I believe, today. No, 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 I'm sorry. No, yeah, I think it was today. Um, couldn't possibly have anything to do with that, but the weather. They cancel 30% of their flights because the weather, but everywhere else it's like 1 or 2%. Just
Yep.
and people wonder why Trump was so hot. Like I said, I'm not a Trump guy at all. I'm a diehard libertarian. But if there's one thing he was spot on about, it was that the news is one big old propaganda machine. And you especially see that now. Like this whole let's go Brandon deal. Like, I don't think there's any guy who kisses his sister and drinks Miller Lite that says, you know what? I think I'm going to go vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
No, that dude who's watching NASCAR, you know what he was chanting, especially the way they were chanting it. I don't really mean that whole part, but you know what I mean. People who are watching NASCAR did not vote for Joe Biden. I'd be willing to bet 9 out of 10 did not vote for him. And like I said, if you listen to the chant, the inflection in the voice clearly says they're trying to be jagoffs, which is perfectly fine. You have every right to say that, but there's a reason why people don't trust the news. And when you tell people to, wear masks if you're vaccinated, and then you tell them, oh, you can take your mask off if you're vaccinated, and then tell them a different thing. If you keep flip flopping, people don't trust you. They don't know what to expect. So, there's every reason to not to not trust these institutions anymore when all they've done is lie.
It's amazing when you turn the TV off. Like I go to Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what? I always nod and say hello to everybody. Black people say hello to me. I say hello to black people. You turn on the news, you think black and white hate each other.
Right.
I've never been asked one time to put on a mask. My wife
Mm-hmm.
hasn't. My kids haven't. I've never had anyone. My dad came down to visit from Pennsylvania this weekend, and he kept wearing this mask. I was like, Dad, you're in North Carolina. No one's going to ask you. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you've been vaccinated. I'm like, you're. So he rolled all weekend to restaurants and everywhere, and he was mask free. It's like you turn off the virus, which is the TV, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize that we all do get along. And we're all very similar, even though we're very different. So it's amazing how much your beliefs change when you realize what the world actually is versus what the
Mm-hmm.
media tells you it's going to be.
Right. And see, that's a big problem is that a lot of people kind of plug into their own echo chambers and just listen to the people that agree with them. Like I've gone out to breakfast and dinner with friends of mine who are completely politically different than me. But you know what? Those guys are going to be at my wedding. I'll go out and drink with them all night. We'll even shoot the shit about stuff we completely disagree about. But you know what? We'll get there. Hey, man, you know what? Raise the glass of crown. Let's keep going. And I still love those guys dearly. And that's the problem. People think that, you know, right wingers may think that all liberals are stupid, and then all leftists may think that all right leaning people are racist and bad people. But that's just not true. We go outside every single day, and you're beside an atheist or a Christian, and that Christian may think that atheist is going to burn in hell for the rest of his life. But guess what? That guy just rang out your groceries. He just served you at your table. He just bought you a drink or, paid it forward. There's amazing things going on all the time. But like you said, if you check the news, you would never know.
Yep. Yeah, I voted for Trump in
Mhm.
16 and in 20, and
Mhm.
I'll vote for Trump again in 2024. I'm not a
Mhm.
diehard Trump fanatic, but I think he did an amazing job. And I'm more disenchanted with the current Republicans. I think
Mhm.
Trump went against the grain. Look, if everyone in government is always going the same direction, and we just keep getting worse as a nation, and he's going the opposite way and
Mhm.
draining the swamp. I mean, the reason he ruffled a lot of feathers, he broke up a lot of good old boys institutions.
Mhm.
I'm probably less of a Republican now than I was because honestly, everyone in the Republican committee right now is tucking tail and running. They're not
Mhm.
standing up for our country. They're not standing up for our nation. They're afraid to be
Yeah.
labeled a racist. And I've never been, obviously I lean right, conservative,
Mhm.
pro America, pro family, pro military, pro gun, pro hard work. I love blue collar people. I love the people that built this great nation.
Mhm.
But as far as identifying as a diehard Republican, I don't because I think a Republican leadership is dog shit.
Yeah.
So like you, I wouldn't identify as libertarian, but I have those views where at the end of the day,
Mhm.
man, I'm going to feed my family, I'm going to protect my family, I'm going to provide for my family. I said it before, I'll say it again: less taxes, less government
Mhm.
control. You don't have money, you don't eat. If you have a problem, handle it yourself. And at the end of the day, man, my family depends on me and these hands,
Mhm.
and we are going to handle ourselves. And if I need help, I've got some good friends that I can call, and
Mhm.
that's how I identify as my political stance.
Nice. And I think that's completely reasonable. And I think more people completely agree with that than probably even we realize. But, essentially the reason why we have to have these huge cultural fights is because government's so big. If government wasn't this big, nobody would fight. Like it should be so small to the point where we don't care who the president is. It's like, oh, what the heck's he gonna do? You should be more concerned with who your mayor is, who's on your school board, who's local to you, because that should be the most important political party closest to you. because once again, that's locality, it's decentralization. We shouldn't have to care who the president is, but because the government's so big, and it is both a Democrat and a Republican problem, that the government's got so big and spends so much of our money. If it wasn't this way, like I said, we would all be able to, hold hands and go sing kumbaya and not have to worry about this enormous culture war and swinging right and swinging left and constantly reacting to one another. We would all just be able to be free and go about our business. That's kind of the world that I would like to see, and it seems like you would like to see too. And I do think that we get there through strong families and strong communities, decentralization, and strong, business owners.
I identify as a realist. I buckle
Hmm.
down internally. I provide and protect for my family. I'm more concerned about, do we have money in the bank? Do we have
Hmm.
cash on hand? How many cases of MREs do I have stashed away? How much water do I have? Do I have generators? Do I have fuel? Do I have antibiotics? Do I have some pain pills stashed aside
Hmm.
for future currency? How much ammo do I have? Are my weapons in good working condition? What's my bug out plan? What friends have land? Where can I get food? How far is the ocean? Where's the
Hmm.
animals to hunt? Who are the people we're going to buckle down with in a compound? It's a shame that I think that way, but I'm not thinking as much as Republican Democrat. I'm
Hmm.
thinking like, okay, as a leader of my family, their survival depends on me. So
Hmm.
that's where I've shifted to, and that sounds like a prepper. We're already
Yeah.
prepped because we're on the hurricane coast. We live a mile from the ocean, so we stay ready with fuel, with generators, with rations for a few weeks. Um, so again, I identify as a realist more than a Republican, a realist and a patriot more than a Republican, because I'm probably not going to change the political system,
Hmm.
but I can make sure
Right.
that those around me are provided and protected for.
Absolutely, and that's awesome. And I remember listening to you in one of your stories talking about how you had a lot of stuff stocked up. And yeah, if you look at my cabinets as well, I got tons of protein bars. I got, probably 40, 50 pounds of frozen meat. I got tons of water, and I would like to get some generators. I don't have those yet. But I think you're definitely on the right track with kind of staying prepared because, you do hear a lot of people talk about Bitcoin and the future of money and where this country's going. Well, we don't know what could happen. And if things get bad, it's better to, be able to provide for your own than to not.
Yeah,
And, to
it's not
have
hard, man.
this
Like go
giant
to
stack of
Costco.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, go to Costco, grab an extra
Hmm.
25-pound bag of jasmine rice. Grab a two
Yep.
pack of peanut butter, which is high fat and high calories. We prepare more for
Hmm.
hurricanes, but you don't have to go full blown prepper mode. You just go into like, okay, do we have enough to get through? If like for example, all these cargo ships out there, people are talking about how pretty soon we'll be fighting over a can of beans. I don't see that happening,
No.
but I can tell you that we'll probably start seeing some food shortages. And like here in North Carolina, we had a gas shortage like 3 or 4 months ago. Remember that
Mhm.
pipeline got hacked?
Yeah.
So there was no fuel in North Carolina. Whatever gas stations had fuel, there was like 100 cars in line. You're waiting hours at the pump. Well, I have a diesel Humvee, so I rolled in with everybody. I rolled up to the Humvee diesel pump and I filled up. But
Hmm.
I had 20 gallons of fuel on hand, so I was like, okay, well, I've got my motorcycle's full. I put the rest of my wife's Jeep, and I'm like, we're not going that hoopla. That's how you get shot. That's how someone shoots you in the face over the gas line. And
Hmm.
we always have contingencies, and our contingencies have contingencies, not in our business world, but in
Hmm.
our real world. The
Oh
contingency
yeah. No,
is
I
I
don't
have
blame you at
contingency
all.
plans for survival, not
Mhm.
for how I'm going to make it as an entrepreneur.
Right, right. Now I remember seeing in the story, kind of shifting topics. You were kind of tossing around the idea of expanding, and I gained a lot of respect for you when you said, if I have to expand, then I may not be able to kind of keep the same element of, the small family-owned business. And I got to say that that takes a lot of guts to kind of say, look, we're not going to expand. We're going to stay right where we're at. And we don't want to lose this element that we have, this dynamic that our customers have come to love and appreciate. So it's basically not selling out, and not necessarily that it would be bad, but it's just the fact that you chose, hey, we don't want to lose this. This is important to us, and this is important to our customers. This is important to our brand. So we're staying here, and let's rock and roll.
That's cool. You remember that, man. I was in
Mhm.
deep turmoil for like 2 weeks because I've got other friends in the apparel industry, some big
Mhm.
names. And, they're like, hey, we hit 3 million this year, or we're on track to do 8 million. And which is awesome. I respect that. And I started thinking about, I'm literally at my warehouse and I'm cutting. I had 500 pairs of cargo pants to cut into shorts, and you got to lay them out,
Mhm.
cut them at 24 inches. And I've got my, I've got a dip in, I've got my country music playing, I got my dogs in the warehouse, and I'm just happy as shit. Just cut, 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 cut. I'm in
Mhm.
my warehouse, I'm in my element. I got my shirt off, and doors are locked, and I'm just like, this is fucking great. I'm like, this is where I belong.
Mhm.
We everyone gets, and you know what, man, you've got to go the path that feels right for you. But I'm not trying to be Under Armour. I'm not trying to be Nike. Will I be a household name? Well, I feel like we already are a household name, just in a niche market. But my goal isn't scaling, man. We do some really cool stuff. Like, we ship 6 days a week, same day shipping with the 9 a.m. cutoff. So if you order at 8:58 on a Saturday morning, you're going out on Saturday. And like, that shit matters, man. Amazon set the pace. We make it more personal. We write handwritten thank you cards, and
Yep.
it's funny. Customers are like, "Hey, I love the card. You're the only one that does that. There's no way you're going to continue to do that while you scale." It's like, well, hey, man,
Mhm.
we did $2 million last year in gross sales, and guess what? We still do handwritten thank you cards. So sometimes I think people think we're smaller than we are, and that's okay. I don't have to show them how big my dick is. It's not important to me.
Yeah.
What I do want to do is I want to feel right inside, and
Mhm.
for me, fast shipping. If you email us, you're going to get a response from me, the owner. I am
Yep.
customer service within an hour. I email, wake up to sleep 7 days a week. You're not going to get that with these big names. You're not going to get same day shipping. You're not going to get a recognition for what number it is. You're not going to get a personal response and free stickers.
Mhm.
Maybe some do, but it's like all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay right where I'm at. I'm not looking to have other people do my customer service, and I'm not looking to have other people run my social media pages. And I don't want to go down to a generic thank you scribble on a packing slip.
Mhm.
And I don't want to lose personal touch with my customers. I'm like, you know what, man? I've, we just closed on we're getting ready to close on a 30-acre farmhouse. We're downsizing half the size of the home, but a huge compound. I've got all the cars I need. My kids go to private school. We got a pool in the backyard. My dogs are eating, and I got dog food to feed the dogs. Like, I don't have any delusions. Like, I'm not looking for a helicopter. I'm looking for happiness, man. Like,
Mhm.
so I'm 45. The older I get, the more I realize what matters, man, besides family, is happiness. And I thought about all the things I worked hard for and everything, because I bought some really cool stuff in my life. And I don't remember the things I bought. I remember the journey and the victories along the way to get there. The all nights pulling out huge hitting goals and being like, fuck yeah, I did it. And then, when I bring home that Porsche or I bring home that chopper, it's like, cool. It gets old, man. But I still talk about the victories from 15 years ago, the crazy shit we did to win. So I made that decision to say I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna continue to do really cool shit and be hands on. And it's like the clouds lifted and the sun appeared. It was like my Shangri-La hit me, and I was like, cool, man. And I'm back to cutting my stuff in my warehouse, and you know, that's where we're at. And it feels damn good.
Yeah, I mean that is something very, very special, and I know it's awesome for me every time I bought off you guys to open up, see the card, and it's very personable, and I think people really, really appreciate that. So I think that's a great note to end it on. Tim, I greatly appreciate you coming on, brother. Go ahead, plug your stuff.
Uh, I'm not big on sales, man. Check us out on Instagram. We're at what is it? The Grind Athletics on Instagram, and we just make cool shit. We're kind of a lifestyle culture. A little bit of bodybuilding, a little bit of blue collar, tattooed, bearded, motorcycle ride, and patriot. You'll see people rocking our stuff at a soccer game. You'll see people rocking at the gym or flying down the road on a
Mhm.
motorcycle or at a PTA meeting. So that's it, man.
All right, man. Well, I greatly appreciate you being the first episode of the In Liberty and Health podcast. And until next time, everybody, in Liberty and Health, Kyle signing off.